concept super fast. Pay attention. First, we are going to do a recap about univariate data. What is the meaning of uni? One single thing. So this means that we are going to focus on one variable. It could be, for example, the height. It could be, I don't know, the number of cards, the age, or whatever you want. But only one single variable. So that is the meaning of univariate data. So inside this topic, we have something super important. We have two kind of data. For example, this one, qualitative and quantitative. So always that we have something qualitative, it means quality, something that is not a number. It could be an opinion, it could be a color, a flavor. We can say, for example, vanilla, chocolate. So there isn't a number to represent this, or it could be good, horrendous, the worst, very good. Okay. Quantitative is obviously when we have a quantity, a number. It could be the number of, I don't know, for example, the number of cars. It could be what else? In this case, we have a number that represents this. Okay, so when we have qualitative, is a word, a description, a color, a flavor. When we have quantitative, we have a number that represents the variable, the height, the time, and what else? Your age. Okay, so then when we have quantitative, inside this quantitative, we have two kind of quantitative data. We have discrete and continuous. And we have to be super careful with this, because discrete, okay, is something that we can count, or something that it takes specific values. So let me show you. For example, here, when we are talking about univariate data, we have one single variable, in this case, number of cars. So number of cars is something discrete, because we can have one car, two cars, three cars, but we cannot have 2.5 cars. This is not possible. Okay, so discrete is something that you can count, or we can say it takes, pay attention to this, it takes a specific values. What is the meaning of these specific values? When you're going to buy a t-shirt, there are some specific sizes. You can choose, for example, the small, medium, large, extra large. So we don't have something between small and medium, or M, because we already have specific values. So you must be super careful with this, because some students, they confuse this discrete data with decimals, something that cannot have decimals. But we need to be very careful with this example. Shoe sizes is a little bit tricky. Here in Mexico, or wherever you are, when we are going to buy shoe size, well, we are talking about shoe sizes, we have, for example, 20 centimeters, 20.5 centimeters, 21 centimeters, and so on. So in this case, we have decimals. Yes, we have decimals, but the problem is that these values, they are specific values. We cannot have a shoe size between 20 and 20.5 centimeters, okay, or between 25 centimeters and 25.5. It doesn't exist. So we have specific values or categories. So we can say the shoe sizes, this is something discrete. Okay, it doesn't matter if we have decimals. Okay, what about the second kind of data? So we have continuous Remember, we are talking about quantitative, something that it has a number to represent this. When we have continuous, we can say, easy peasy, something that we can measure. Something that we can measure. Okay, for example, we can measure the height, the weight, temperature, time. So every single time that you have the height, blah, 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 or the weight is, the temperature is, blah, 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 or the time, it has to be something continuous, and that's it. And pay attention. Here we have decimals. But when we have continuous, we can have values between different, in this case, values again. For example, between 170.5 and 172.3, we can have a number between them because it's something that we can measure. The same happens with the time. We can measure the time, okay? So in order to clarify this, we are going to practice with this. We are going to say if we have something continuous or discrete. Remember, this is something quantitative, a number. For example, the number of apples. So, of course, this is something discrete. Let me write down this. Discrete, okay? Because we cannot have like 2.32 apples, okay? So the number of apples in the bag, we can have 1, 2, 3, 5 apples. The weight. So the weight is something continuous because it's something that we can measure. The number of blue cars, we cannot have 3.5 cars. So this is something discrete. It takes a specific values. Then here comes the tricky one. Football boot sizes. We were saying that this is a little bit special, this one. So this is discrete because the sizes, they take a specific values, okay? It doesn't matter that we have decimals. Remember, this is super important. The number of visitors to the Tower of London. So this is something discrete because we are talking about people. We cannot have like 2.3 people, 2.5 people. It doesn't exist. So this is discrete, continuous. Then what else? Then we are going to continue with basic concepts. Population. In statistics, we use population to talk about the whole group, the entire group as something. It could be the entire country or your school, the high school, the entire high school. Okay, so population is the whole group that you are going to analyze or you are studying. But we have a problem. In statistics, we collect information, data, okay? So it is impossible sometimes to collect the population's information, the data, because it's super big or it's a huge amount of people or whatever you are analyzing. That is the reason that we have this. It's not possible to study the whole population. Imagine that you are going to do a survey about your country. So this is impractical, okay? Because you cannot survey every single person in the country. That is the reason that we must use a sample. The sample, what is a sample? It's a subgroup of the population. Okay, so this is a smaller group taken obviously from the population. So we can say we have the entire population and we are going to take a subgroup, a smaller section like this. And pay attention because this sample is going to be used to what? To represent the entire population, okay? The same happens here. If we have all the country, and we are going to perform a survey about your favorite fast food or whatever you want to know. So we are going to take a smaller group, this smaller group, and then this smaller group is going to represent the entire population to make conclusions, okay? So that is basically the main objective of statistics, okay? So sample is a smaller group of the population, from the population, or a subgroup. Then something that happens or sometimes happens is bias. What is bias? Basically, bias is when you are collecting data and you have a preference. preference. Okay, this is only preference. So every single time that you are collecting your data and this is unfair, it's not fair, you have bias because the result or the survey is not going to represent the entire or the real life situation because you have a preference. Okay. Then guys, the last concept is super easy, and we have outlier or outliers. What is an outlier? Well, it's a value when you have collected data. Sometimes we have values super different. It could be because it's super huge or super small in comparison with the other values. So every single time that you have a value that is super different, we can say that this is an outlier. Okay, and that's it. These are the basic concepts about statistics.